We're doing a video today on the ultimate deer rifle cartridge. So this is not a good deer rifle or a great deer rifle, but the ultimate deer rifle. So this is the boring part. We got to figure out how we're going to judge all our different contenders. So let's start out with the basics. We got to be able to shoot a bullet, and that bullet's got to kill a deer. That's kind of no-brainer. But let's add quickly to that kill the deer part. After all, we want to find the deer after we shoot it. Let's also go with a heart and lung shot. There's lots of places to shoot a deer that will kill it quickly, but for this video we are going to use the heart lungs as a measure of success. But this video isn't about where to shoot a deer, so we'll keep going. We want to be able to kill a deer that's not broadside, meaning a less than ideal shot. It's one thing to shoot a deer that's standing perfectly sideways or broadside. This is because the deer has relatively thin skin and ribs, and those are easy to punch through. It's entirely different to shoot a deer that's quartering away or quartering towards you. That is, when the deer is turned away from you or towards you at an angle. When the deer is turned away from you, the bullet may have to travel through a lot of soft tissue, meaning the guts, to get to the lungs. And when the deer is turned towards you, the bullet's going to have to punch through the shoulder area, which is equivalent to the deer's shoulder blade and shoulder joint. Additionally, the ribs in the upper rib cage are a lot stronger and thicker than the ones further back in the middle of the rib cage. So we want something that's high velocity. This is because range estimation is difficult. If you read any good hunting book, they'll tell you why it's difficult. So you want something that's high velocity and flat shooting. Another reason you want high velocity is time of flight. We want the bullet to get to the deer quickly. That makes shots at a moving deer easier, and for longer shots, there is less time for the bullet to be blown off course or for the animal to move. Accurate. We want something that's accurate. You can argue that any gun can be made accurate. So we're going to say that the weak link is the shooter, is the hunter. So we're going to modify accurate, and we're going to replace that with something that has low recoil and is easy to shoot. Also, we want to be able to find a rifle that you like. Also, we want to be able to buy ammunition for this gun. I'm putting this in parentheses because this is one item that you might not care about. If you travel a lot, maybe worried about dropping ammo or having to buy ammo at some backwoods store, this might be important. Here is the list of contenders. How did I make up this list? Well, I looked at what the Ruger American, either the Standard or the Magnum, is chambered in, and then I looked at also what the Browning X-Bolt is chambered in. There's some things that didn't make the cut based on the fact that ammunition or rifles is hard to find. For instance, the .257 Roberts is well liked, but it's not really available anymore. Another one of the classics that didn't make the cut, that is the 30-30, which has enough power and meets most of the specifications we set out. I didn't include it because it's hard to find any rifles other than lever action. Also, it's not that high velocity. So let's start crossing things off the list. I'm going to get rid of anything that is .22 caliber. I've heard of and believe stories where a .22-250 takes out a deer no problem, and I believe this, especially if the deer was shot broadside. The bullet could blast through one of those little ribs, or maybe slip between two ribs and get all the way to the lungs, no problem. But from other shots, these bullets won't make the cut. .338 is gone. This is a good cartridge for North America. Read books where people shoot all types of big animals out with this, but this gun has some serious recoil, and we're talking about a deer rifle, so that's easy to cross off the list. .243. This is a great round, easy to find rifles and ammunition, has low recoil. It shoots bullets that kill the deer quickly, and bullets that are heavy enough to be used at most angles. The only reason it's gone is because there are better deer rounds, cartridges which shoot heavier bullets at higher velocity. 300 Win Mag is out. Again, classic cartridge, but it has more recoil than others, and making it more difficult to shoot. It is flat shooting, but if you look at the ballistic tables, you'll see that the 270 Winchester has the same exterior ballistics, meaning the same drop. 7mm At.8, that's out. This is a good deer round. It has good enough velocity to be high shooting at reasonable distances, and it shoots heavier bullets that kill at most any angle, but it is a little harder to find ammunition for this round. For example, go to Walmart, probably isn't there. Also, this is the ultimate deer cartridge video, and there are better rounds on the list. 25-06. This is a good round, but it's getting the cut. High velocity, very high velocity, and would make a good rifle for the dedicated deer hunter. But there are also cartridges on the list that shoot bullets that are the same or slightly greater in weight, and also shoot those bullets at high velocity. Additionally, ammunition is harder to find than the other cartridges on the list. The 280 Remington is the next one I'm crossing off. This is a hard one because you can argue that the 280 is the best North American cartridge out there. There are lots of 7mm bullets out there, and the rifle nuts love 7mm bullets because they seem to be better proportioned than other bullets. Yes, you want a long pointy bullet because it flies well and penetrates deeply, and you can argue that the 7mm has the edge over 30 caliber bullets. Additionally, there isn't really any difference between the diameter of the 270 Winchester and the 280 Remington, but deer hunters don't really need anything bigger than a 130 grain bullet. The big advantage of the 280 is the ability to get heavier bullets and hunt animals that are larger than deer. And this is a video about deer hunting. Also, ammunition for the 270 is loaded to higher pressure compared to the 280. So the 270 gets the edge because higher pressure gets more velocity. This one was hard. The 30-06 is a classic, and it kills deer very well. You can get excellent ballistics with a 180 grain bullet. You can even argue that a 30-06 with a 180 grain bullet is better at long range compared to a 308 Winchester and a 150 grain bullet. However, 180 grain bullet is heavier than needed for deer. That 180 grain bullet generates additional recoil that can, in theory, make the rifle harder to shoot, and the time of flight to the target is somewhat lower than compared to some of the other rounds. Now, you can say that the 30-06, all you need is a 150 grain bullet, and those bullets fly faster than the 180 grain bullets. But you don't need a 150 grain bullet to kill deer. Lighter bullets generate somewhat less recoil, and lighter bullets in smaller calibers are longer and pointier, so they get better external ballistics, meaning they shoot somewhat flatter. And they get better terminal bullets because they penetrate better, if only slightly. You can get higher velocity from two of the other cartridges on this list using these lighter bullets. The time of flight from the rifle to the target is a little slower for the 30-06 as compared to the two other rifles that shoot lighter and faster bullets. Sorry, but in this video, the 30-06 didn't win out. 308 Winchester. This was hard, but it didn't make the cut. Some of the same reasons that the 30-06 didn't make the cut hold true for the 308. The 308 shoots a 150 grain bullet somewhat faster than a 30-06, but like we said before, 150 grain bullet isn't as good as other bullets. And even though the 150 grain bullet is fast and is flat shooting, it isn't as flat shooting as the 270 Winchester and the 7mm Remington Magnum. So these are the two contenders, but the video is about the ultimate deer rifle cartridge. Both of these shoot bullets, both kill deer quickly, they both can get a bullet to the lungs of a deer from just about any angle, they both shoot at high velocities, they both shoot bullets that are heavy enough to kill a deer from any angle, but not overly heavy, such that they generate more recoil and are therefore somewhat harder to shoot accurately. And rifles and ammunition are readily available. I'm going to choose the 270 over the 7mm Remington Magnum. The 270 and the 7mm Rem Mag shoot the same bullets that fit into the same sweet spot at high velocity. These would be 130 grain or 140 grain bullets. While it is true the 7mm Rem Mag shoots these faster than the 270, I argue that the 270 uses less powder as compared to the 7mm, and that both shoot them fast enough. Less powder in a standard cartridge makes the 270 recoil a little bit. All that combined give the 270 an edge. Rifles that shoot the 270 are also a little lighter than the 7mm Remington. This is because of the standard versus the Magnum barrel profile. This also gives the 270 the edge for me because I prefer somewhat lighter and handier rifle. Another fact, you can get lighter bullets in the 110 to 120 grain weight class for the 270, and these shoot very fast. So the 270 Winchester beats out the 7mm Remington Mag by a small margin. But I'm going to give that a caveat. I'm going to say for the normal hunter, the 270 is the overall winner. But there are other cartridges that do what the 270 does, but only bigger, badder, and faster. All of this comes at a price, namely much more exotic, hard to find, and expensive rifles and ammunition, and much more recoil. But in this second category, the exotic category, here's our new list. I'm going to keep this around what the 270 Winchester is good at. That being, it shoots a 130 grain bullet at high velocity. All the cartridges listed here have the same flaws as the 7mm Remington Magnum, which is heavier rifles with more recoil and muzzle blast. First to go is the 270. If we are going exotic, then we want faster, and we don't care about light handy rifles that are easy to find and feed. Also gone is the 270 Winchester Short Mag. One reason, the 270 Weatherby shoots the same bullets faster. Next to go is the 264 Winchester Magnum. Why? It shoots a 6.5mm bullet. That is the holy grail for the rifle nut. 6.5mm bullets are proportioned better than anything else for exterior bullets, so they fly the flattest of all. For the same reason, that being that they're long and pointy, they get the edge for penetration. But the 264 Winchester Magnum is slower than both the 270 Weatherby and the 26 Nosler. So in the exotic category, I'm going to name the 26 Nosler as the winner. Here's why. The 270 Weatherby is a belted case. The belt doesn't do anything except look good. It also makes reloading ammunition somewhat more difficult, and if you're going to shoot an exotic rifle, you might want to hand load. Let's see. Bullet velocity. Nosler reloading data shows both cartridges shoot a 130 grain bullet around 3,400 feet per second. However, Nosler makes a 120 grain bullet for the 26 Nosler that shoots at 3,600 feet per second, and that is fast. Also, 6.5mm bullets have, theoretically, better ballistics compared to the 270. And there's lots more options out there for buying 6.5mm bullets than 270. Additionally, the 26 Nosler is easier to find. Nosler makes rifles chambered in this, and the Browning X-Bolt also is chambered in 26 Nosler. So, the winners, I'm going to keep the 270 Winchester as the winner for the ultimate deer rifle cartridge, but I'm going to put the 26 Nosler as the winner in the exotic category. If you don't care about cost, don't care about recoil, and don't care about getting specialty gear, then the 26 Nosler beats out the 270 Winchester. If I was to win the lottery, or think I had too much money and not enough guns, I'd go ahead and order up a 26 Nosler. Until then, I'm going to stick with the 270 Winchester.